Asaf, Uso, Vesa, Andrew, it's a great pleasure to be working with you. The forehand we studied, Andrew hit well, 91 miles an hour down the line. Definitely tour level, way above the tour average. But the ball was right there. He knew where it was coming. So we take that into consideration. I measured all his velocities compared to some very good players, a couple pros, but an NCAA champion. Considering Andrew's playing for Michigan next year, this NCAA champion has made it up to the top 70 in the world, and is currently about 120 in the world on the ATP Tour. Bradley Klahn. I have all these numbers that I can compare to any pro you'd like that I have in my library, which is quite a few. But as far as Andrew's concerned, he did look pro level. His forehand was incredibly powerful. The things that we can improve for Andrew are his upward velocity. Here we have Andrew and Bradley Klahn. They have similar grips, similar stances. The ball's within 1 inch of the same height. Bradley Klahn is a couple inches shorter. And Bradley's forward velocity on his racket was the same as Andrew's, which was 69 miles an hour. Bradley hit the ball faster because the ball was coming in on him 24 compared to 14 on Andrew. But the upward velocity, we see that curve here. Andrew needs to improve. 15 miles an hour upward velocity deficit means way less topspin and more errors. The ways to improve the upward velocity are simple. Bend your knees a lot more. When we were in the exercise machine, we could see that Andrew, though he's very strong, with training could be much, much stronger, as Uso will tell you. Here are the shots. They went about the same trajectory. Both players are getting the same distance underneath the ball, which is about 9 inches. But here we can see the big difference in knee bend. It's actually 35 degrees different when they both are loaded in their stance. Now the next thing is not only is it knee bend, but it's knee extension. Klahn's front leg is extending at 285 degrees per second, while Andrew's is still bending and going down. Andrew's lack of sufficient knee bend in the beginning forces him to stay down. Therefore, he cannot explode up and drive the racket up to improve his upward racket tip velocity. Here we see both players with 37.5 degrees of knee flexion. The knee should be straightening out at 285 degrees per second on Andrew, but instead it is bending. At impact, Bradley Klahn has straightened out his leg to 20 degrees and is going up at 75 degrees per second. Meanwhile, Andrew has bent a little further and is not driving up at all with his front leg. Increasing Andrew's knee bend by 36.1 degrees and increasing Andrew's knee extension velocity by 285 degrees per second in his left knee will increase his upward racket tip velocity. Two more recommendations to help the upward racket tip velocity are to increase the humerus flexion at the shoulder joint by 10 degrees at impact. The humerus is the upper arm, and the upper arm drives the forearm up, which drives the racket up. Also, to have a straighter right elbow by at least 20 degrees. Djokovic is 20 degrees straighter at impact. Model Bradley Klahn is 22 degrees more straight at impact with his hitting arm. Here we are looking at Andrew on the right, Klahn on the left, and we're watching the humerus right here, how the angle of it is sharper with Andrew. It's more straight down, and Bradley Klahn has his flexed more. His humerus lifts up along the yellow arc there. That's humerus flexion. And we see that humerus is out further than Andrew. Swinging around, it's a little easier to see. This is humerus flexion. the direction of the arrow, and he is not as far out in front of the body as Bradley Klahn. We are looking at the position of Andrew at impact. It's at 28 degrees of flexion, and he needs to be out to 38 degrees like Bradley Klahn. Here's what Andrew looks like at 38 degrees, but he's already hit the ball. This is where he should be when hitting the ball. Now we know the position of the humerus at impact. Now let's talk about how fast it needs to be doing this shoulder joint flexion. It needs to almost double for him to get up to where he wants to be to win the NCAA championship or to successfully go pro. The same as the knee joint flexion and extension, the shoulder joint flexion needs to be trained explosively. Strength needs to be built up, then explosiveness needs to be built in. This can be done with precision training. The last recommendation we have this time for Andrew's forehand is he could actually improve his forward velocity or hit the same speed with less effort. To do this, he would twist his shoulders back without twisting his hips back any further. He would create hip and shoulder separation that would stretch the obliques and the trunk twisting muscles, which would then fire back more forcefully and efficiently, utilizing what's called the stretch shortening cycle.
He's ready now. He's ready. He's gonna get put his shoulders under there and just push. There we go. 427 now. He's coming in play. Bring it. I see 475 in your
Vesa, Uso, Asaf. Thank you for letting me have a chance to work with Andrew. I look forward to answering any questions you might have and to working with any other players you would like to have 3D motion analysis or computerized exercise programs set up for. Talk to you soon.